Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Big Jiu Jitsu Show. I'm the Pod Bros Podcast Network. Don't forget to go to podbros.com and find yourself another podcast you want to listen to. And check out our sponsors, Trap and Roll Soap Company, Tape Armor, and Rolls Gear. And you can find all of our old episodes at bjjshow.com. Don't forget to like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. And you can find some of our shirts and patches at bjjshow.com. I'm Rob, and Randy and I got a chance to speak to Samuel Braga. If you're not familiar with Samuel Braga, he is a black belt, most, I guess, famous for creating the Berimbolo. And we had a really good conversation with him. And I really enjoyed hearing his kind of viewpoints on training and self-defense, and even got into a little conversation of who would win between a Star Destroyer and the Starship Enterprise. So I hope you guys like the episode. Let us know what you think. Hit us up. And hope you enjoy the episode. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Big Jiu-Jitsu Show. I'm Rob.
I'm Randy.
And Randy, we got a special guest today. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, he's ruined it. He's ruined it. Now, we have an extremely talented black belt with us today. We have Mr. Samuel Braga with us. He's going to talk about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and Randy was able to hook up this really awesome interview. So, Samuel, I really appreciate you coming on the show today.
Oh, man, my pleasure.
So, before we get started, we start asking all these awesome questions. Could you give us just a little bit of background? Because I know there's like a Taekwondo portion in there as well that I want to hear about, but kind of how you got started in martial arts and what brought you to where you are today.
Well, I think like back in the day, I think every kid got inspired or somehow by Bruce Lee, right?
Yeah.
Watching movies and then so forth, watching the Jean-Claude Van Damme and stuff like that. Then I think it gave me a start with the martial arts right at the beginning.
Yeah, Bruce Lee has definitely inspired a lot of people to get into it. What style did you first get into?
Well, so because of the style of Bruce Lee kickings and all mainly focus on like kind of fancy kicks and all the choreography, some in beautiful work that he did during the movies, I got really into Taekwondo in the beginning from the time I was 7 years old, all the way to point that I did until I was like 14.
Okay, that's not bad. 7 full years of Taekwondo, and you earned your black belt in that time, correct?
Yeah, I was a junior black belt because back in the day in Brazil everything's so expensive, So I got my junior black belt in Taekwondo, and they wanted me to pay another, like at the time, if I was like in Brazil they have salary, minimum wage salary.
Yeah.
Probably here would be like $800, $600. I'm not sure. 800,000. I don't know. So basically, it's two minimum wage salaries, like equivalent 2 months of your salary for your base, for your black belt. So it's like, man, that was too steep of a price. So my dad didn't want to pay for that, so I just got my junior black belt.
Dude, actually, I don't blame your dad one bit. Like 2 months of salary for black, just a little too much even for me, man. That's wild. So I guess then, like, unable to get your black belt. How did you find your way to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu then?
Oh man, that back in the day, I think a bunch of people got so excited about the UFC. Like in 1994, they started with UFC. But I end up watching UFC only in 1999, and then I started increasing my. At the time, I was not doing jiu-jitsu or doing martial arts. I started in 2000 doing Brazilian jiu-jitsu because of Royce Grace, basically.
Yeah. Not bad at all. I'm sorry, what you guys' question, Randy?
Oh, I was gonna say, so, the UFC came in. You said Royce Gracie kind of inspired you to get into jiu-jitsu. Where did you first train? Where did you first train jiu-jitsu at? What was your first exposure at? What gym?
Man, I actually was really blessed, man. My first, when my first school, the first instructor, I'm still with him today. I actually, I was a Draculino student, you know. Um, he was a Draculino student. He was a world champion, and I got really blessed. He was right next to my house. He had a school right next to my house, and so it was almost like a walk distance that my brother and I would walk to his gym almost every day. Sometimes we get a ride to go because we were young, 16 years old at the time. In Brazil, it's kind of weird, but Brazil you don't get your license until you're 18 years old. So I was 16, so I could not drive myself to the gym. So I basically got a ride, or I'll basically just walk to the gym.
It's a pretty good deal to be walking distance from a legit jiu-jitsu school, because I know when I first got into it, I had to travel quite a ways to find a school because it wasn't as big here in the States back then,
Yeah.
But who was your first instructor in jiu-jitsu?
Well, his name is Eric Vanderlei. So he's a Draculino student. He's a black belt world champion as well.
Nice.
So Eric Vanderlei is a really talented guy as an athlete, and he's a good instructor as well. He taught me a lot. For a year, I trained with him, and then I want to be a professional. And nothing on his teaching. Basically, he just didn't offer many classes for me to become like more serious about it. He just had an evening class, so I want to add one more class, and I started training with Draculino as well. So I trained both of this at the time for a long time, and then Eric has some personal problems there, and then it was having a really hard time for him to teach classes. And man, I was serious, I want to dedicate. I was dedicated, so I could not not miss a class, or I focus on being with Draculino.
So with
definitely can't. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say so you were saying that you were having you want to have more classes there and whatnot. So what did you do? Because you say you want to be professional. Did you find any sort of supplementary training or supplemental training to help you when he didn't have classes at that time?
So that's when I went to Draculino. Draculino offered like a morning classes,
Yeah.
So I was like, I had an evening class with him, and then I want to do a morning classes with Draculino. I want to train twice a day. And that would work perfect, because I have like both instructors. They're phenomenal. It's the same lineage, We're using Draculino students, so it's basically the same lineage.
Yeah.
And beyond that, I will have more train partners,
Yeah, so Draculino, I mean, that's a hell of a source to have to go learn from. No wonder you got so good so fast at the system, having that type of knowledge base to pull from. What I know you're big into playing guard. You're very aggressive when you play guard, at least from my exposure rolling with you. So what do you think is your favorite type of guard to play?
Well, I'm really enjoying the De La Riva guard, because of the main tools that we have. I think all the guards have many tools. Don't get me wrong, but I think like for me, back taking, I really enjoy to get the De La Riva guard.
And is that something that you picked up from training with Draculino? Is that where you kind of learned it from?
Well, actually, I know I started playing. My De La Riva was pretty much right in the beginning. So training was so different what it is today. The Jiu-Jitsu, the whole culture, the whole idea of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was so much different than it is today. Back in the day, I barely had a fundamental class. So I did like 4 or 5 classes basically to show me the kind of basics, and after that, honestly, it was just that mixed in with advanced classes,
You're kind of thrown right to the lines. Yeah, I was gonna say you get kind of thrown right to the lions at that point, right?
Oh man, let me tell that. I mean, people tell my students today, it was a really humbling experience from the beginning, and honestly, I was always a nerd. People think you might not understand, but I'm a nerd. So I think the nerds can take better beating than actually a guy that's like, the guy's like, the popular guy in the school. It's hard for the guy. There's some guys that are gonna take, the beating, but like for me, for a guy that has no expectations, I mean, I didn't have to expect myself to go there and beat anybody in the first month. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
To get a guy that's popular, cool guy, that's strong guy in the school, for him to get a beating, to that ego, checking that ego, that's a tough, lesson to learn in the beginning.
Yeah, the whole ego thing, especially like you said, like I did laugh when you talk about like a nerd can take a beating because you're picked on a lot, and I get it too, man. I'm nerdy as well. Do you think, because I know you achieved your black belt fairly quickly, do you attribute being able just to kind of go in there, no expectations, that helped you get your black belt and just excel at jiu-jitsu?
I think I got my black belt because I was too stubborn, man, honestly. I'm a stubborn person. I have to admit that. And I believe all the guys that, I mean, if you're looking at all the athletes, I mean, they have I think that's a common trait, right? To be stubborn, be competitive. And because, I mean, believe me, my mom told me when I was 16, I was getting all the kind of bruises and beat up. And she's like, why do you do that? You should just quit. I was like, no, I'm not going to quit while I'm losing. I mean, what's the point? So I just got stubborn enough not to give up, basically. And I want to get better because I was like, man, how can, I was too stubborn to accept the fact I was getting that beating so bad, because I was 16 years old, so 98 pounds. So I have no strength in my favor or size. So I was just just a nail, man, get hammered every single day.
Yeah. So do you think that obviously I can relate, being a smaller guy as well, that you kind of have to find a way to keep your head above water, especially in those early years in jiu-jitsu, and I think that's part of where that resilience comes from. But obviously, for those that listen to the podcast, I'm sure they'll be very familiar with the fact that you're often accredited as being kind of the mastermind behind the Berimbolo. Is that something that you picked up because you were smaller in size and had to find a way to get around a bigger opponent, or what was kind of the story behind the creation of that?
Yeah, it totally, get to the point there. I was just too small, and I would get crushed all the time, so I was forced to be flexible, So people are like, man, you can get flexible and this and this and that. Man, I was forced to be flexible because, you're the smallest guy in the room, and you're skinny and limber because of taekwondo, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was getting myself in positions twist like a pretzel, and I ended up getting comfortable in those positions, and getting inverted all the time. And I played the La Riva, so when I played the La Riva, I was always do the going backwards sweep. That'll get a lot of people on it, and then all the time, and over the time, how you train with same amount of people, and the same people, same train partners. People start figuring out your game, so they realize, man, this guy's gonna roll backwards, because I'll trap the arm and roll backwards and I sweep everybody mainly. And then everybody picked up on that. It's like, man, I'm gonna just hide my arm. If you cannot trap my arm, I'll be able to stop this sweep, right?
Right.
So I was like, you know what? I get stuck there for a while, and then I'll have to do something. That's one thing. The beautiful thing about jiu-jitsu is that you always troubleshooting, trying to find solutions for your problems. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Whereas I was like, man, I cannot get stuck in a position. So instead of kicking forward or backwards, I kick forward, and then as I kick forward, I expose the person's back to me. And then that's how everything started. So I kept doing the move over and over again. And my instructor even jerked me and said, man, you guys are so stupid. How you can get caught in the same position over and over again? But people could not figure it out, because I was folding in half, getting crushed, right? The guy's trying to crush me. And all of a sudden, I'm there upside down, and I just create a momentum, and I push the guy forward and expose the guy's back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So that's how.
Yeah. I've always been curious how that came about, because it's definitely one of those moves that has taken off within jiu-jitsu, especially on the competitive side. You see people pulling that move off all the time, and it's kind of spread like wildfire. So I was interested in hearing the story behind it.
Yeah, I mean, there's something like in the kind of coolest thing about it is like I'm always doing that in the gym. When I go to the competition and shoot, I was doing like already in a level of the purple belt, brown belt. I think my goals because the thing is it is I didn't have no strength compared to my train partners. Everybody was lightweight, middleweight. I was a weight, and everybody was ahead of me in jiu-jitsu because when I got into the gym, everybody was already a blue belt. Majority of my train partners. It makes sense. So my goal is like, man, if I don't take anybody, I could not get anybody in arm bar because the strength wise, or get anybody anything else but taking it back. If I don't take anybody's back, I could never finish. So that's my main focus from the beginning.
And if it obviously has worked out, and you see it as a sense of pride that your move that has helped you out, like they say, like was a necessity is the mother of invention, and you've created the move, and now, like Randy was saying, it's used so much in competition. You're like, yeah, that's the move I created. Just kind of like have that sense of pride about it.
Man, actually, now you mentioned it does bring that, but like usually, man, I'm so like laid back about that stuff that I'm constantly focused on the gym, the school, and my self-improvement,
Yeah.
That definitely bring that, but I never stopped to think about it like on that aspect of, man, I brought it up and everything. It's pretty cool that I think that the game changed. Jiu-Jitsu is an evolution every day,
Yeah.
And like I started with the Berimbolo, the Mel brothers brought the crab ride that I use today. So Jiu-Jitsu is it's the coolest thing about it. And then you have Keenan that do the warm guard a lot, and then he came up with the whole system that is also, is one of the, also a lot of people use that game as well.
Mm-hmm. In that same light, you see different people using different styles of guard, and the evolution that we see, especially in sport jiu-jitsu. There's also on the equal side of that, you have people that talk about the importance of staying true to the roots of jiu-jitsu as far as self-defense and kind of the realistic applicability. And I know you and I talked about jiu-jitsu for law enforcement the last time I was out there in Tennessee. What is your kind of your thought on that as far as self-defense and jiu-jitsu? Where do you think that is in terms of importance and training that?
I mean, I believe that every single person should fundamentally, in the beginning, understand the concept of the fundamentals and self-defense. But after a certain point, jiu-jitsu is really, when you get to a certain level, especially if you train jiu-jitsu all day, if you put yourself in a bad spot, after a certain amount of time, you'll get out. A headlock or a bear hug, being a jiu-jitsu practitioner, you're going to figure it out, even if you don't know by heart what the steps are. So I think like jiu-jitsu is jiu-jitsu. I don't separate them. Jiu-jitsu is
Right.
one, and if you think about it in jiu-jitsu, right? Let's think about this. The only reason that I think the jiu-jitsu competition grew, because I'm a person that I don't see myself fighting in the street. I'm not going to ever fight in the street. Why I'm going to fight in the street? I don't need that. If I want to test myself, I'm going to a tournament. That makes sense?
Right.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, what brought the competition is to become a sport where you can actually test yourself properly, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if jiu-jitsu involved to a point that you think like, man, this guy's going upside down, how that can be translated to self-defense? My friend, you're not going to go in, unless you put in a situation you have to, and go lay on your back and start like go upside down unless somebody puts you in that position. I think if you put a guy like, let's just say, that just plays guard in a tournament, the guy knows a fundamental, basic takedown. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Right.
So I think if you get a beginner, just walk in a door and put against a guy that's a blue belt. What's gonna happen?
The new guy's gonna get smashed.
Oh
You're
yeah.
gonna get smashed. So it's like, for me, that's the point of view that I see as a self-defense. It's just like going outside and tell the guy that never done jiu-jitsu, face this blue belt. You think that, let's be logical here. Do you think the guy that's never, the white belt, brand new white belt, is gonna go and smash this blue belt?
Nah, probably not.
More than likely not, no.
Exactly.
Do you feel, so it's something that we have brought up too, so like you said, you want to find people, if you're going to test yourself, you're going to find other people at competitions.
Yeah.
Is that, when do you feel, or do you see people kind of take that mentality? Because I know, like, even as a white belt, I was the baddest person on the planet, except for other jiu-jitsu people. So I could beat anybody, you know what I mean? Like, I was so tough, blah, blah, blah. But, like blue belt, I kind of figured out, like, that is not the case, and I'm going to get my ass kicked one day. But when do you kind of see that transition from people from, like, yeah, I'm super duper tough, to like, hey man, I really should not be looking for fights, or, even if they have that mentality?
I think that the mentality, honestly, I think reflects the instructor, Yeah. I believe that if they have an instructor that's pretty cool, laid back, and love jiu-jitsu and talk about sport jiu-jitsu, I think force will respect each other, the hierarchy of Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and the martial arts, Because there's a different aspect, of it. I mean, of course, you're not gonna. If somebody come attacks you, you're gonna have to use it like any other self-defense. You're not gonna go there and let the guy to beat you. But of course, you're not gonna look for a fight. And nowadays, man, I think people with jiu-jitsu, the culture and the community are so laid back and so nice, and I think that. I don't think that's any problem nowadays.
Well, that is good. Yeah, I don't see it as often as, like, when I first started. A lot of guys out there looking for fights. Like, I was telling somebody, it's a lot cheaper for me to buy somebody a drink in the bar. And like, hey, man, misunderstand. Yeah, it's totally my fault. And instead of, getting bailed out of jail or paying for court fees or medical bills.
I mean, it's not worth it at all. Like, I talked to some of the guys here. It's like, listen, man, the amount of headache you're gonna have, and you're not gonna win anything. It's a losing situation.
Yeah.
So anyhow, you get yourself in a bad spot, and plus, what's gonna bring you as a benefit to get in the fight? I mean, you can get yourself hurt, and so many things that can go wrong. And I tell, you just walk away. Just walk away. It's the best way to do it. Just walk away. I mean, I have situations that, I was going out with someone, and it was in a nightclub, and I would get the person that I was with disrespect over and over and over again. So what I did was listen, I'm leaving right now. Let's go. And then I left the place. So there was no reason to stay there.
True.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it too, and I think we've had that discussion prior on the podcast. Is a big part of self-defense. The biggest part of it is the ability just to not put yourself in that position to begin with, right? I mean, just not putting yourself in a bad environment where that's most likely to happen, and that's definitely the first step to self-defense. And I think second is the ability to kind of talk your way out, be humble enough, like Rob said, to if it means buying somebody a drink and just completely swallowing your pride, it's still better than the price of getting into a fight, because there's always a puncher's chance out there in the street, and it's definitely not the most favorable situation to put yourself into. So I agree 100%. I also think too that jiu-jitsu, from the law enforcement side, I agree. It comes back on something you said earlier, Samuel, about being able to figure your way out, even if you remember the exact steps to the fundamental headlock escape taught your first day as a white belt, you still fundamentally and kind of naturally and intuitively understand body position and leverage, and
Yeah,
your
exactly.
awareness increases. And so, just the ability to control somebody else's body increases drastically from exposure to jiu-jitsu. And that's one of my favorite things to say as to why law enforcement needs it so badly is you don't you don't need set techniques after a while. You kind of just you feel it. You know where the openings are. You know where their base is and where it isn't. You know.
Yeah, man, I totally agree with you in that aspect. And honestly, like, if you do jiu-jitsu, like, for example, you grapple every single day. It's natural to you, right?
Yeah.
Right.
It becomes so natural to you. I mean, I think, like, if you look at the kids, if you watch kids, when they play around, they're already grappling. So it's natural for us, you know? And when we evolve to a point that you have techniques and controls that allow you to not get yourself harmed by any means. And that thing is the most important thing for law enforcement. It's not only for their benefit, but also the benefit of the person, you know? Like, let's pretend the guy comes at you, in the stance, like, straight up, and this guy come to get a hold of your neck or get a hold of you or something, like even your gun, you know?
Right.
As your reflex, by training jiu-jitsu every single day, your reflex, your response to that situation is going to be so much faster than the guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I've noticed that, and unfortunately, I've had to use jiu-jitsu a couple times for self-defense, and being able to, like you say, you train all the time, and certain things just become muscle memory, and you react, and you have a lot quicker reaction time to diffuse a situation, stop the person. And like you said, we're used to grappling. Every day I'm hugging my friends, they're hugging me, and we're trying to, choke each other. Whereas somebody who just wants to, hit you, hurt you, do something, they are completely, like, not even, like, aware of what's going on with their body when they're getting controlled like that in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, definitely, man. I think that's for, like, law enforcement. It's the key. I think everybody should train at least twice a week. Why is that? I mean, if you think about it, for the conditioning, the physical readiness, right? Because I've seen videos and situations where law enforcement is, like, getting attacked. Some people, like, nowadays is so crazy what's going on.
Yeah.
How everything, like, flip upside down.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you've seen, like, officers, man, put their lives out there trying to serve the community, to help the community. And you see now the thugs, this guy's not wrong. And
Right.
they getting the benefit there. He's attacking the officer and resisting, cursing them out, and then in that situation, the officer being defending himself, he is actually the bad guy.
Yeah.
As a villain. He's being taken as a villain.
Yep.
I was going to say, Randy definitely could speak more on that end than me. I'm not law enforcement, but yeah, being, turned into the bad guy in that situation.
Yeah, culture has definitely flipped on its head. But I agree also, I think, with what you're saying in terms of with that dynamic, if you think about how jiu-jitsu could help that and progress and kind of help flip that switch again, because I think if an officer is well trained and then now that officer that's trained is caught on camera using jiu-jitsu to apprehend a suspect, it looks much less aggressive. It's not resorting to deadly force by default because he's other tools on his belt, meaning jiu-jitsu. And so he can take that suspect down, control him, take him into custody. And I think if people start to see that competence in police, it could definitely help better serve the perception that the public has. And that's been something I've been pushing really hard out here in North Carolina. And I know you push it in Tennessee because when I came out there, you had at least a handful of officers on the mats, which was great to see. So.
Yeah, man. I mean, honestly, that's I'm really advocate or helping the officers. Because I mean, honestly, I think that people get into a position that like I never seen this in my life. And I think sometimes come with the new generation now. They're not taught respect. Nobody taught them to respect. Respect the even adults. Seeing now videos of kids, like, trying to find the teachers, trying to find, what I'm saying? It's crazy.
Oh yeah.
And then when they grow up, they say, okay, so I don't have to respect my teacher or the security in the school. I fought them before. Why I'm not gonna fight a police officer and put a camera in his face and cuss him out?
Right.
That's for me is the craziest thing ever. Like there's not even respect as a person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And for me, like, if that person has no respect to any other, I mean, like, just to come with the common sense. For me, it's common sense. Be respectful, right? Like, my mother and my dad taught me that. When I was young. So I don't understand why people cannot respect, anybody nowadays.
I think that's one thing that jiu-jitsu definitely provides is a mutual respect. You have so many different walks of life on the mat at the same time, and there's nothing but love and respect on those mats for most places.
Exactly.
And with that being said too, I mean, you've obviously been extremely successful on the sport circuit. You understand the self-defense applications. You help law enforcement. You do all these things. You've got a pretty huge kids program at your gym. So what made you kind of switch gears and start coaching others?
What is that? Sorry.
What kind of made you switch gears and start, instructing and started teaching? What kind of took you down that
Man, I
road?
think like I want. But the thing about the athlete is the hardest thing for the athlete um, is that the athlete be able to understand that unfortunately you're not going to be always the top athlete. You're going to get to a point that you have to slow down, right?
Yeah.
Um, I mean, not that I'm not training less, believe me, but I just have too many responsibilities now. We get to a point in your life also you want to have students because you cannot compete for the rest of your life, and you want to pass the torch. Want to have students that are able to achieve their goals, not only on the mats but off the mats as well. I think that's really important for the instructor to understand that not everybody's going to be a competitor. Like if you look at the percentage statistics, probably like I don't know 5% of your students, 3% of your students going to be top competitors.
Right.
So
Yeah.
just to be able to even the kids to apply the fundamental understanding of the martial arts, which is like the hierarchy. Understand that the parents, that's the same. The adults, the teachers, things like that, and respect their colleagues, in school. Um, the mutual respect is important. Respect each other's space is important. Discipline. Work hard. I mean, understand that never things are not given. You can like one thing about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is the coolest thing about it. If I tell a kid, all right, he did well during the training, and he got taken down over and over and over. The kid's like, man, he tells me I didn't do well. I have to explain at what level I think he did well. Can get a more deep understanding. Like if you got beat by this kid before, and by for example took him down like less than a minute, and I say hey, and the next time he almost took the kid down that was just taking him down over and over. He was managed to actually attack the kid for a takedown in the end, even if he lost. That's a progress, right? That's improvement.
Right.
So that's the transparency for the kids and for the understanding that you're not always going to win.
Yeah,
So
100%.
that's the big important.
Yeah, that is one way to deal with it because I know, like you said earlier, you got to kind of slow down, understand you can't be at the top forever. I know it's kind of a heavy subject, but Randy has prepared a few questions for you, Samuel, and they're kind of, I don't know if humorous or lighthearted is the best way to describe it, but Randy has some questions, and it's something we've never done before and kind of want to try it out, so I guess you get to be the experiment on it. But
All right.
I'm going to let Randy handle this one, and I'm really interested
Oh,
in
well,
hearing what? No, you.
Hey, you
no.
You can
What?
can jump in and take a few. You
Oh,
can jump in and
perfect.
take
All right,
a few.
let me pull them
Yeah.
up. Let me pull them up.
We'll alternate.
Oh, I get to pick my favorite ones. Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah. See,
All right.
Samuel, he's trying to throw me under the bus and make me do
Yeah,
all
dude,
the.
because if it's terrible, then I can just blame Randy for it, and if it's good, then I can take all the credit
I
for
mean,
it.
that's a good move right there, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
It's a black belt move.
Thank you.
yeah. He's setting the trap. Staying one move ahead for sure.
All right, Randy, you, as my black belt setup, I'm gonna let you go ahead and take the first question.
All right, so these are just some silly off the cuff questions. So you give the whatever answer comes to mind. But the first one, who is your celebrity crush, or who was your celebrity crush when you were growing up?
Oh man, Jennifer
I
Aniston.
mean, that's a good one. That's a good one. She keeps getting more beautiful with age too. That's what's crazy.
No, she just get better.
As,
Rob, what you got?
all right. Would you rather go to the beach or the mountains?
Probably the beach.
That's
But
fair.
you live in Tennessee, though.
I know.
I know.
There's no
I have
beach.
the lakes here, man.
The lake isn't a beach, though. I got to argue that. I will say that because in Germany they were like, "Hey, we're gonna go to the beach." I'm like, "All right, cool. Like what? 4-hour drive?" They're like, "Not the lake." I'm like, "The lake's not a fucking beach, man."
All right, so here's a little bit of a crazy one. So this is a either or type of question. So would you rather be able to talk to animals, like communicate with animals, but they all hate you, or would you rather have all children under the age of 6 in the world trying to kill you?
I'd rather talk to the animals, man.
Even if they hate you, they're just talking trash?
I'd rather that.
That's because you know from that kids class that when a bunch of 6-year-olds start grouping up, it can be a deadly situation.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather to be friends with the kids, honestly, because the kids, man, they'll tell you, they're really honest about their feelings, their emotions.
I also feel
Yeah,
like
a bunch of 6-year-olds.
dude, if animals talk shit to you, you can just eat them.
That's
Yeah.
true, but I mean, there's a lot of animals. Think about it. Every tree you walk past, you're gonna have a bunch of birds just talking a bunch of trash to you. That would get pretty frustrating
Yeah,
after
and
a
be
while.
like, "Hey,
But
I ate your mom. How about that? She's dead. I killed her."
Go ahead, Rob. Go ahead with another one.
All right. Oh, let's see what we got here. What's your favorite? Well, it says guilty pleasure food. So, what would be your favorite food to eat that is just not in line with any sort of good diet whatsoever?
I like ice cream, man.
Oh, fuck yeah.
What kind of ice cream? What flavor?
Man, I've been enjoying now it's really good chocolate mint.
Ooh.
Chocolate mint. Ooh, yeah.
Really good.
Ice cream, man. That's a good one too. That's definitely a good guilty pleasure food for sure. So I know you are big into like superheroes and things like that. So who would be your favorite Marvel character?
Oh man, since I was a kid, it was Wolverine, man.
Nice. That's a good one.
Any particular
So do you like
reason
the-
why, or
Man, I start with Wolverine. The fact that he's small, and he's small, and he's just basically a feisty guy. Man. He does not back out from a fight. He's stubborn, and I mean, he has courage. He doesn't he's not afraid. I think that's the traits that I think that's pretty cool.
nice?
Those traits.
And Rob, I can tell you, one of these days you and I have to make a trip down to Knoxville together so you can meet and train with Samuel Braga, because I can tell you that he's definitely the embodiment of what Wolverine would probably be in a jiu-jitsu player. Because
Hell yes.
it's a nonstop whirlwind of submissions. I can tell you that.
I can't wait, man.
Yeah, man, that'd be awesome, honestly.
Yeah, dude, definitely. I'm down for a road trip for that. All right, I'm going to take this one because as a super nerd myself, Star Wars or Star Trek, which one's better?
Man, I got introduced to Star Wars
Yeah.
first. My dad was really a big fan of Star Wars, and we watch it every single weekend. So for me, Star Wars, definitely.
Good deal.
I have to agree.
I
I think I have to agree.
I got a soft spot for Star Trek, but
Oh.
what, man? So when I was a kid, it was like my parents would they were in the church choir, so they had practice at night on Wednesdays, and my uncle would watch us. And he's like, "Hey, look, bedtime's 8, but if you want to stay up and watch Star Trek, bedtime's at 9." I'm like, "All right." So Star Trek just it's
Hey,
kind
but if you see that, if you take a retrospect there, you're usually influenced by when you were a kid. So you love so much because you're able to watch every day and stay up late. And if it was the opposite, if you got offered to watch Star Wars instead of Star Trek, you would love Star Wars. It's just because of the first experience.
I do love Star Wars though, but Star Trek just got a little bit above it.
Yeah, I totally understand.
So follow-up question on that then. So for both of you guys, this one's for both. I mean, let's Star Wars, there's a Millennium Falcon. Star Trek, Starship Enterprise. Which ship would win that battle?
Jesus, man.
Again, man, dang, that's tough, man.
I initially want to say the Enterprise just because you've got like more than 6 people in the ship at any given time. But then again, like, Han was messing with like multiple Star Destroyers at once, so it's a rough one. Millennium Falcon did blow up a Death Star at one point.
It did.
So I'll basically say it depends what type of where they're fighting at. What was the conditions are. I mean, that'll probably, if there's more asteroids, less asteroids are open. I don't know. I think that depends on what the situation they're in.
That's a valid point.
I'd say open space would be better for the Enterprise, like an asteroid. Yeah.
Yeah, if we open a space, I think the Enterprise probably be able to get past. But it feels like there's a lot of asteroids around. There's a meteor shower or something like that. I think the Falcon probably do better.
That's a valid point. Spoken like a true Jiu-Jitsu black belt that you have to bring in the conditions.
Yeah, man.
It's always an X factor, man. Yeah.
So how about a movie? How about a movie that you like to binge watch that you'd be ashamed to tell anybody about, like a chick flick or something, a movie that you just loved and you don't want to tell anybody about?
Oh man, I mean, honestly, I'm really open about the movies, but I think like the movie that I'm telling this actually, I got really emotional about it. I'm still getting emotional about this movie. If I watch it today, I watch it many times. It actually surprised me. It called Arrival. I don't know why that movie, man, is tough.
Ooh.
Arrival, yeah.
I was thinking about that movie the other day, actually.
That was actually I give you credit. That was a surprisingly moving and intense film. That was pretty good.
I have no feelings. It didn't hit me. I'm just kidding. I was like, bro. Hey, spoiler alert! Look, the movie's been out like what, 3-4 years, maybe less.
Yeah.
Yeah, where she like still goes through having a kid even though she knows it's gonna die. I'm like, ugh. Ouch.
Savage.
Yeah, that was rough.
Like honestly, I was like, and if you watch it the second time, it's even worse, man, because you get more emotion, know what's going on. Because in the beginning, trying to figure out what's going on, because totally, what I'm saying, if you don't watch the movie yet, you have to watch it because I don't want to give any spoilers, but like the movie will surprise you, and then the second time you watch it, that was worth it, because you're gonna be able to understand better the movie.
Nice.
And I was watching an airplane, man. I have my sunglasses on. I was like, I didn't have my sunglasses on. As soon as I started getting to the end, I started putting my sunglasses, pretending nothing happened, man.
Damn. Yeah, it was a really good one. I don't think I cried. I think it was more of like, what's a good movie that really hits me right in the feels? Maybe Monsters Inc. I don't know. That's pretty good.
Monsters Inc.
Hey, I love all cartoons, man. I love Monster Inc.
Oh, that's
Who?
that is a good one.
I will throw mine out there, and I will say that Notebook hit me right in the feels.
I dodged that movie, man. Everybody talk about it and tell me, hey, man, you should watch that. I was like, man, I don't know why I watched that. I dodged that bullet.
Dude, the Notebook, it's pretty good. I'm not gonna lie.
It is. It is.
Yeah. No. Any other ones, Randy? What do we got?
There's a couple more. You can just throw one more out there if you want.
Oh, I'm actually kind of surprised you didn't ask, Randy. I'll ask it. All right, you ready? Cops or firemen? I don't know what the context is, but cops or firemen?
Man, it's hard to have to choose. They're both equally important for the community, you know. And I think they're both like so important, and you should give them the respect and the support all the time. You know, have extremely grateful for both of them. And man, you know, I have to give them applause, you know, every single day and take my hat off for them, because let me tell you this is like, I have officers here and I have firemen, and those guys work. I mean, for me, what surprised me the most, like the shift they take, you know, like the rotating shift, that thing, I could not do it.
Yeah.
You know, in dealing with certain situations there, we always see one side of the coin. But I mean, as I talked to a lot of officers, you know, police officers and firemen, it's not an easy job, you know. And I will be honest, for what they get paid, they should be paid more, you know, for what they do.
Well,
we definitely appreciate that. Yeah, we
Yeah.
definitely appreciate that.
Awesome. So I think that's a good way to round out the episode. So Samuel, we really appreciate you taking your time today and coming on the show and being our experiment for the final question, and then even just giving us a really good insight on your journey in teaching and competing and even being an innovator in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So thank you very much for coming on the show.
Oh, thanks so much, guys, for the invitation. You know, it was a pleasure. You know, it was a lot of fun, and hope to talk to you guys soon. And actually, looking forward to see you guys here in class, you know, jump in class and have a good time and get some good rolls. And we have a really cool restaurant nearby that you can eat some nice sushi, or can eat for a good price. So it'll be good.
Awesome.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to do that soon.
Excellent. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Randy, do you have anything to say before I do the final out?
No, I think you guys both rounded it up. You know, I definitely want to say I appreciate you coming on the show as well, Samuel. I learn so much every time I come out there and train. I know it's only been a few times, but I felt my game improve each and every time I've come out there. So definitely appreciate the wisdom on tonight's episode, and I'm looking forward to coming out to Knoxville to get my ass kicked by you a little bit more in the near future. So
thank you, guys, and looking forward to see you, Randy. Hope you both can come here, Rob, as well.
Oh yeah,
and come join us. All right.
I will.
Absolutely.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of the Big Jiu-Jitsu Show. Member of the Pod Bros Podcast Network. Don't forget to go to podbros.com and find yourself another podcast you want to listen to. And check out our sponsors, Trap and Roll Soap Company, Tape Armor, and Rolls Gear. And you can find all of our old episodes at bjjshow.com. I'm Rob.
I'm Randy.
And we'll
I'm
see
Samuel.
There you go.
Yeah.
And we'll see you guys next time.